everyone. Welcome to the Leathertainment Studio Podcast. This is our second episode with our first real guest, Ty Bowman of Lifetime Leather Co. It's the first time I was just meeting with him before this recording. I have been following his work, his brand for a long time now, and I truly appreciate that he accepted to be the first official guest of this podcast relaunch. Hoping that we're going to ask some questions to him. We're going to learn about his brand, his work, his contribution to the leather world. And hopefully it will be beneficial to some of you to experience leather better. So before we started everything, I think we can have a quick introduction from Ty, yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do with your company, and then go from there.
Yeah. So my name is Ty Bowman. I'm the founder of Lifetime Leather Co. We're a leather company. We started back in 2011. Been hand making leather goods since then. Been growing, making new products. We started, my official story kind of started when I was 15. I got in a really bad zipline accident, and it messed me up really good, and I couldn't walk, and lots of different surgeries. And anyway, through the physical therapy and the surgeries, I picked up, calligraphy, working with my hands, leather work, and kind of just started tinkering from that. And also in the Boy Scouts, we did a lot of leather work in the Boy Scouts, and I was pretty good at it, and I enjoyed it. And then in 2011, I was married, I was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and times were tough back then. I didn't know what I was going to do for Christmas. I didn't have any money. I was broke. And my wife's grandfather passed away, and he inherited to me all his leather tools because he had heard that I liked leather tools or leather work. So I got a box full of leather tools, and I was driving home one day, and I saw this couch on the side of the road. And I was like, that couch has really nice leather on it. So I went to the lady and I asked her if I could have that couch, and she thought I was going to rob her. She was freaked out because it was kind of not in a super good part of town. But I was like, hey, no, I'm just interested in the couch. Can I have it? And she's like, yeah, take it. So I cleaned it up. I took all the leather off of the ends and, conditioned it. And I made toiletry bags. I made bracelets. I made all sorts of stuff out of that and gave it away as Christmas gifts. And everybody really liked it. And people kept requesting new things, new products, and it just kept growing from there. And I did everything hand sewing, all hand work. I saved up all my money, bought a sewing machine, kept tinkering and kept growing new products from that, and kept getting, ideas from customers, telling me what they wanted, and kept growing from that. And in 2020, the White House called and invited us to represent the state of Arizona for the Made in America boutique. So they pick one company from every state, and they vet them, make sure they're all made in America. They called us and they're like, hey, so you're in the running for Arizona. There's a bunch of companies. And then I got another call from the White House liaison. She's like, hey, President Trump really liked your story. He likes how everything with your brand, and you guys have been selected. So we sent all our stuff to the White House, and that was a really cool experience to do that, to get selected for that. So just starting from a one-bedroom apartment with absolutely nothing, no money, just a couch and some inherited leather tools, kept working, and we built up to there. So it's been really fun, really fun.
This is a really awesome story, by the way. I read the entry on the email beforehand. I was already impressed. I was just trying to hear more of the story from your first hand. This is really impressive. I think it was your calling, this, the accident. Sometimes those seemingly bad incidents or tragic events lead to things that eventually get you where you're really happy to be. And I think maybe it's like our life is kind of nudging us towards the direction maybe we meant to go. So it's like you inheriting a box of leather tools, the Eagle, the Boy Scout, getting your hands dirty with leather a little bit. exploring that you enjoy working with it. I think it's all meant to be. So you are here to serve to the leatherverse somehow, and you
Yeah.
found your calling.
Yeah, it's been awesome because my whole family, everybody in my family does construction. And from when I was a small child, I was like, I'm going to be in construction, you know. And I'm one of the very first now to not be in construction in my family because of that accident. It's kind of like steered me towards leather, and when it just took off, it was like you said, it was just meant to be. Everything made sense, it came easy, and it's enjoyable because it takes, like, a lot of people think that running a business is super easy and it's fun all the time, but it's like it's incredibly stressful and there's a lot of hard work, and if you don't have a strong passion, you're gonna burn out and give up.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
for me, it worked out really
We
well.
will get to those challenges areas too. I want to hear some of that. And I believe you have some unique experiences in that end, and I have some questions ready for that. So, but absolutely, that the key part is enjoyable. As long as it comes natural to you, it comes easy, and you enjoy what you're doing. I think these are the signals where you're following the right path. You got the signals from universe. So, I'm really happy to hear this story. So, how did you start selling your products? First you start giving it out as Christmas gifts, and friends start requesting it. Where did you start selling them?
All right, so it's super funny. Um, Back then, I was trying to get a house, right? Because I was in a one-bedroom apartment and I had a kid, and it was really tight. I mean, it was really tight, and we didn't have hardly any money. And at the time, I was working, for my own business. I was doing auto detailing. I was working with my dad's construction company, but I didn't have enough work history for the banks to be able to give me a loan. So I was like, well, what do I do to get a loan? And they're like, well, you need to work with a company that's like really stable, that can have a good work history with. So I was like, well, name one. They're like, I don't know, like Home Depot, Best Buy, some companies like that. I was just like, all right, background in construction. So I went to Home Depot, got a job there, and it was cool. I liked Home Depot. I learned a lot there, but I learned mostly that, like, working for someone isn't what I wanted to do. Like, but it was funny because when I first started making leather goods, I would we had these like giant electronic things that would scan barcodes,
Mhm.
and I would make pouches for those, and I would make holders for like your scissors and your razor blades and all this stuff on your apron.
Right.
And everybody was like, "Hey, that's really cool. Can you make me one? Can you make me this?" So I started getting all these requests from people at Home Depot um, to make stuff, and then like the garden area was like, "Can you make a holder for my shears, or can you do this and that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could totally do that." And customers at the Home Depot would start seeing the leather goods. "Oh, can you make me a wallet? Can you make me a phone case?" And they're like, "I'll come back in like 3 days and pick it up." And dude, they would come back in 3 days and look for me and pick it up. And I was actually, one day I made more money selling leather goods than I did working at the Home Depot. And I was just like, I gotta, you know, follow this. So I started following it. And then my cousin, Crystal, she was like, you should try this website. It's called Etsy. It's called Etsy. And I'm just like, dude, that sounds retarded. Like, that sounds really dumb. I was like, no one's going to buy this stuff, you know? I was super skeptical. Like, she's like, just try it. Just try it. And so I, took a couple pictures. They were really bad. Put them online. And at the time, I thought that, like, I thought leather bracelets was like the thing,
Mhm.
like those Johnny Depp bracelets and watch bands. So
And what year
we
is
made a bunch
this
of
you're
those.
going on Etsy? What?
This is like 2011,
Okay, perfect.
so it was really popular back then. So we started doing that, and we started selling them, and I was really surprised. And I mean, it wasn't like any impressive sales. It was like a couple $100 a month, But when you have nothing, it was like free date nights or a couple $100 to put in savings or start buying more equipment. And then Valentine's Day came around, and I made some bags, some men's toiletry bags, and I think I sold 7 of them. And I was like, wow, that was cool. And I was like, I should probably, put more energy into this. So I started focusing on it. And then I got busy, and I was hand sewing everything.
That's tough.
So like the liner, the zippers, everything, like poking every hole. It was consuming all my time. So I had to quit all my jobs and just commit 100%. And at the time, my wife, and she had, without her, none of it would have worked, because she was the brains. She helped me online. She helped me with the direction, all that stuff. So she was going to school to be a nurse, and she had been doing that for years. And at the time, then it was really popular to be a nurse. So the waiting list was like 3 years.
Wow.
So she'd been waiting. She had all her prerequisites done. And we were getting to the point to where it's like, this started growing. And I remember I spent an entire month and a half just doing research and development on products and dialing them in and getting them really, really efficient to make. And it started growing and growing. And I think I did $2,500 that month in sales. And it was like, wow, that was really good. That was super good. So we just committed to that. And then the next month, I think we did 17,000. And it was like, wow, this could really be something. And then my wife got a call from the nursing program. And they were like, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted. You can start now. And I was like, babe, if we do this, if we really do this and focus on it, we could make this bigger than the nursing. But it would be 100% committed,
Right.
And so I remember she was like, okay. And we made a plan. We wrote it down. And I remember her calling the nursing program and being like, hey, I'm going to have to withdraw. And the lady on the other line was like, are you kidding me? You've waited 3 years and you want to withdraw? If you withdraw, you have to wait another 3 years. Like, there's no coming back. And it was just like, yes.
That's a tough
And it was
goal.
done. It was like when the Vikings would burn their ships,
Yeah, exactly.
It was like that.
But
And it was like, after that minute, it was 100%. I worked every day for 20 hours straight every day. I would just grind, and I would sleep for like 4 hours and wake up and just keep going. It was wild. For like 2 years we did that just to get it going, and it was intense. I don't know if I could do that again.
well,
It was like
you do what you need to do at the time, and maybe those things the bridges you burned put that extra effort into you, and you give you the motivation to push forward. But how do you feel about it now? Like, is it worth it?
but yeah, no, it was totally worth it, man. 100%. And it was I think doing that really solidified that entrepreneurial drive. I had a wall in our house. Well, I forgot to tell you, we eventually grew that 1-bedroom apartment into like a leather factory, and to the point to where it couldn't handle it anymore. And my neighbors were about to like kill me because they would hear like tapping all night, tap tap tap, because there was a lot of hand tooling and stuff. But we eventually moved into a house, and we were renting that house, and I still didn't have enough, bank credit to buy a house, so we were renting, and we turned that house into a leather factory.
The-
We had lights in the hallways, tables everywhere. The kitchen was the only thing that didn't have leather in it. The bedrooms were filled with leather. It was crazy, dude.
I can relate
And
to so many aspects of that story. We started with my wife in a Chicago apartment. that tapping, apartment, you can't do it all day, every night,
Mm-mm.
they're gonna come at your door. These days, I'm seeing they invented the quiet punching machines and things like that. You don't have to tap, you just slowly do that stuff. I'm like, I could have used that back then.
For reals, there's so much more stuff. When I was doing it, it was like the Wild West. I felt like I was one of the only people doing leatherwork at the time. And everybody was like, leather? Like, you're doing, wait, I'd have to explain it. Like, you do leather? Now it's the opposite. Everybody's doing leather.
Huge
It is
interest.
crazy.
Everybody's trying
Huge.
to work with leather. I don't know why we can discuss this. I have some of my own theories, but it's like wood and leather. Everybody got into these things. They want to learn leather work, just do something with it. Some people follow it to the brand level, can I sell my product? Or some of it just for fun, give it out to friends and family. Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it had to do possibly, and this is all theory, is with COVID. I think a lot of people were at home and social media. There's a lot of like making leather stuff on social media, and a lot of people just trying to fill the time. And leather's fun,
It is fun.
so it's like, oh, that'd be a really cool project, And then there was lots of stimulus money, going
That's
out.
right.
So a lot of people were like, hey, I'm not working, maybe I could build a side hustle. And then you have every single Instagram influencer in the world being like, "Oh, you gotta have a side hustle. What's a side hustle?" So I think a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon.
Right. I,
You
I
know,
believe the
because
same. My theory is kind of similar. Only thing I might add on to that, like COVID stuff, we're working too much with our computers now. Everybody who has a regular job, it's all like looking at the screen, sitting all
mhm,
day. They want to do something physical, with your hands, something you can see, tangible, physical product. And leather or wood is one of these materials that natural materials might satisfy this need. I think that's another attractive aspect of leather driving them
yeah,
to it.
and you can do leather. Wood, you need a lot of really expensive machines. Leather, you can
Start very simple.
you can stuff it on a desk and work on it, and then it'll be there when you get home from work. You can keep working on it. So
Exactly. No
it's a
dust
little
like
bit,
wood. Yeah.
yeah, easier entry. But it is crazy the amount it's grown.
Yes.
Like,
Well, this makes me really happy. I'm curious, what do you think about it? Like, here's what I think. Because now there's this interest, people start dabbling with leather and they know they can sell it via Etsy, Instagram, they can tell their story. There's internet is democratizing all these channels to reach to the end customer with your products, with your story, process, everything. So 20 years ago, it wasn't like this. You need to be a brand that has a store, a distribution channel to be able to sell leather crafts. So today, anybody who has an interest and courageous enough to try to make a product and give it a shot can do it. Actually, in my opinion, it's enriching the leather space experience for everybody. More designs, more talent pouring into it, and I foresee a shift from like these big brands monopolize the industry for a really long time because of those barriers to entry. Now, I think a portion of the market will shift to this thousands of newcomers, smaller craftsmen with products that are richer and more diverse. That makes me super
mhm.
happy. I don't see it as a competition. As a person who makes leather crafts, leather brands, I see that this is like collaboration. We all get to enjoy leather better with this, diverse talent getting into it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, well, for example, like if you have, like, I love you know capitalism, just because it's like, if we have a product that's really good seller, and it just keeps selling, it's like, why change it?
Right.
But then somebody else comes with the product and they're like, hey, this, let's match it, or like, what can we do to improve it? Now you have to improve it, and it helps you, it forces you to not stay comfortable.
100%.
So like, if you're just like sitting on your laurels and being like, oh yeah, we made it, it's like there's someone out there who's hungrier and he's got that fire. They're coming for you. You can't just sit there. You have to constantly be like innovating, and like people steal your designs. They steal your designs. They steal your techniques. And social media is a double-edged sword, man.
Yes.
You like show some really cool techniques that took you forever, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," and then they just copy it.
Yep.
But at the same time, you see other people, and you're like, "Oh, that's a really cool idea," and then it sparks other ideas, and you make a new product. So it's a love-hate relationship.
Right.
You hate it because it forces you to change, and it's miserable. Like you just want to go on a vacation, and be like, I'm done forever. But you just have to keep grinding and grinding. But it's good at the same time. But all these big companies that own the space, absolutely just dominate the space, it's forcing them to come up with better new products too. Because like you said, there's thousands of companies out there coming out with new stuff.
It's a big force.
Better. Like we had a job. They wanted a bunch of bags for a corporate order, and we were going to get the job. Everything was going good, and then at the last minute, they decided to go with Bloomingdale's. Right? Okay. They went with and it was just like, what you would have got with us is way more quality and real handmade than you would have got at Bloomingdale's, because there you have like, well, you take the bags apart all the time.
That's why I do it. I want to show them the difference.
Yeah, you have so much leather that's inferior, way cheaper. They skimp, they use thinner thread. Like any way that you could cut costs is done, and you're paying for all that shipping, you're paying for all that storage, you're paying so much extra middleman cost that like if you were to spend $100 with us and $100 with them, you're getting less. But it was just interesting,
It is.
But you win some, you lose some.
Exactly. But I think more and more people will realize this, and that's kind of my effort too. Like recently, I'm gonna make a video about this. I've never talked about it anywhere now. Like how charities measure their efficiency, right? Like when you're giving to a charity, sometimes you look at their efficiencies. Like they're 86% efficient, 90%, which means 90% of the money you give goes to the people that you intended to go, and 10% is their operations. So in today's leather world, like bigger brands and companies, the $100 you give, there is super little portion of it is for the leather and craftsmanship. The rest is all about marketings and retails and rent. And on the other hand, to you, the $100 goes probably 60-70% to the leather and craftsmanship, and the rest is your living. So you don't need to pay for the rents and marketing and advertising. So this is the thing I'm trying to get across, since people are not really they don't think they understand leather. Actually, they do, but they forgot. They have been made forgot it. Hopefully, we're gonna help them discover it. It's a feeling thing, As soon as you touch it, you know it. You don't need to know anything else about leather.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and that's genius. That's genius.
So
because it's true.
We're gonna do it together. So that's the whole point here. Yeah. Some of the questions is to you, like how we're gonna help them understand and make these decisions better together. So I'm gonna go to another question here. You mentioned the White House. It's an incredible thing. Like I congratulate you for that success. I believe it was very exciting. So Made in USA. It is a big thing. It's a big label. Some people love it. They want to pay more for it. They always want to see it. What does it mean in leather? Like, I know it's not easy to make leather crafting in US. I know how this business works. I know how much work, skill, machinery, equipment it requires. And I know brands that tried it, like Shinola, is started with that mindset, but kind of diluting it a little bit, a little bit of it here now, a little bit of it outside, because the talent pool is not here. The machinery, the tools, equipment you need is not readily available like it is in Europe or Asia. So it's really tough, and everything is super expensive. Time is expensive here, and this is a time-consuming craft. So what do you say about leatherworking made in USA, how challenging it is, how good it is? Just anything you can inform us about it.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's really tough. Um, you have to search really hard. You have to, find really good vendors. There's supply chain issues. There's just tons of extra costs. Like a lot of the times, it's discouraging because, for example, just a quick detour. In 2015, a DOP kit was $78 across the board on Etsy.
Hmm.
Every DOP kit was a minimum of $78. So it was like when you go in to search for that product, it was $78 was the starting point. And then now you go on Etsy, you search the leather DOP kit, it's like $18.
Easy, you can find it easy. Yeah.
Easy. And it's like, what happened? Like, and it's so confusing to the customers because when they look at ours, it's like $89, $90, And it's like, why would I spend $90 on your product when I can get it for $18? And it's like, okay, first of all, I don't even know if that's real leather. Like, I don't know how they're doing that. Like, I wish I knew how they were doing it. Like, it's impossible. So we have our costs. We buy, our leather is a certain quality, and it's a fixed cost. Our labor is fixed cost, and they keep raising minimum wage in the U.S. So it's like every year it gets tougher. Every year minimum wage goes up, and it means you can have, like, it's got to come from somewhere. So there's a lot of challenges, but then the reward, I think, is worth it. Because first of all, if anything is hard, like really hard, it's usually worth doing.
Exactly.
And I'm a diehard, made in America patriot, and I'm proud of the work that we put out. So it's when we put it into it, to me, when it goes out the door, you feel good about it. And we stand by that warranty, that made for life warranty.
Right.
We get, a handful of returns every now and then. And there'll be like a stitch or a rivet or something. And you get to see like how used it is. And you're like, wow, that's cool. And then you take it apart, you resew it, refix it, recondition it, make it look all new again, and package it up and send it back out. And we do that for free. That's part of our warranty.
That's amazing.
That,
I read about it. It's the lifetime warranty, right?
Mm-hmm. The lifetime warranty. So when you pay that price, you're paying for quality in materials, you're paying for quality in craftsmanship because it's repairable. It's not like a one-time internet sale where it just goes out and it's like, well, that was nice. And you're just focusing on the next sale. What's the next sale? Like, our whole goal is to get a customer and it's like, all right, what do you want to start with? You want to start with a belt?
Right.
You want to start with a watch band? You want to start with a bag or a wallet? And it's like, okay, by the time you're done, it's like you have a matching belt, wallet, watch band, your duffel bag, your toiletry bag, your razor case, your passport case, whatever. It just goes on and on and on, all matching.
So it's a relationship.
And if
it's
anything,
like you call it, it's lifetime relationship.
Yeah, and then if they need anything, they just message and they're like, oh, hey, I got this idea. I want to do this and that. And then we make it for them.
That's awesome.
So it's cool, but it's cool when we make the repairs and send it out and you're like, products that I haven't seen for like 8 or 10 years will come back. And I'll be like, I remember when I made this, and then you fix it and you send it back out and it's good to go. So it's cool.
That's really great service. So these are the things come with, Made in USA label. And probably a little info here. As you said, Made in USA is valuable because of the labor and the standing behind part of it, the ethical aspect of it. It was $78 across the board on Etsy. Now it's $18. And they're both valid prices now because Made in USA to make that DOP kit really costs that much for a feasible business. But in other parts of the world, different life conditions, maybe they manage to do it somehow. And you decide which one you want to get. You want to get something that, you can go back 10 years later, can you fix this? Or you buy it and then, you throw it a year later. It's These are options, capitalism, I guess. Like that's the part.
And another thing too, that where we really shine is our people, our employees.
That's what I was going to come now. Can you tell us about that? The operation, the team, who does it? Like, what do you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so our team is spectacular right now. We have a really lean, mean team. They're all on lunch right now. They'll be back in probably 20 minutes. I'll show this computer screen down on the floor. You can see them. But all trained from scratch. So we start with really young, talented people. Mm-hmm. And I've hand-trained each one to where they've pretty much surpassed me in their specialty. So like whether it's top stitching, whether it's zippering, you name it, every little task, they can all do that one thing better than me now because they just have so much practice, so much. And we were just going over in the morning meeting today, it's just like quality. It's like, let's just focus on the quality, take a little bit more extra time, focus on the quality, and just really make sure everything's good. And when we package it to where it's beautiful. So when you open it, it's like an experience. Right. You're getting the smell, you're getting the feel. That first, impression, they're basing their whole purchase experience on that first impression of opening it, whether or not they got their money's worth, their value. So we try to do everything in our power to get it to that. And we have Dallin, Gabby, Victoria, Ammon, they're all so good at what they do. And I was just training another one of our sewers how to make these tool rolls. And I was just shocked, like how fast they pick it up. Like for me, it's like, when I come up with the product, I'm like, okay, how does it work? And I'm designing it and I'll show it to them and they just get it like that and move on and just boom. I'm like, wow, you guys are like, it just makes me really proud to see how talented they are. Because when they come, they're just hungry talent, It's like, hey, do you want to be part of this culture? And all you have to do is come willing to learn and hungry every day. And we will teach you everything else. And are there mistakes? Yes. There's tons of mistakes. Do they cost a ton of money? Yes. They cost a lot of money. We will have lots of leather thrown away. We will have tons and tons of mistakes. But like this is like an area where it's we want you to make those mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning.
Exactly.
And that's the only way I learned, so it's
all of us.
We have it to where they kind of manage themselves. They have their goals for the month and they work on those goals to get better at their craft. And you can see it as the time goes on with how well the product starts turning out. And it's really cool to see it all operating and to see people when they first came to you didn't know how to do anything. And then they're training the next people and they're showing all the same techniques and this is how you do it and this is how you know the quality, this is how you feel. It's really, really cool.
That's one of the most satisfying feelings in the business I experienced myself, seeing those people without any skill come in, learn and become masters of that specific craft or whatever thing you taught them. Now I think this is something I call this the immortal startup. Okay, the business can die, if this business doesn't survive. Now that 5 people, 10 people you trained has a craft that they will take with them and they will make a living with it going forever. They can start their own businesses, they can make their own products, and no one can take that away from you or them going forward. So that's the permanent impact your business did, regardless if it survived or not. So that's really satisfactory.
I've for like the last 10 years or so of training people, I've gotten lots of texts and lots of phone calls, and they'll just be like, man, that was the best job I ever had. That was the funnest job I ever had. And lots of them do leather. I've got a handful of them back east. They're sending me pictures of the stuff they're making, and it's cool.
That's
Once
awesome.
you know, once you know how something's made, the way you see the world is different. Like when you look at something, you're like, oh, I see how that was made. You think differently. You're like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like you could reverse engineer something and you could see how it's made. Your mind thinks a little bit differently, and it can help you with more than leather.
Oh yeah,
It can
exactly.
help you in all aspects of business. It's like if you want to learn how to do something, you're like, oh, I can just do it the same way I did that. The steps apply.
There is a lot of transferable like spillover knowledge and skills you gain
Hmm.
working with this. Absolutely amazing, amazing story. So I'm gonna take the topic a slightly different, a little bit more philosophical area too, maybe. What is leather in your opinion? Like, what is leather?
So to me, leather. One time I was selling a product, and I was telling this lady all about this wallet that we made, and it was made from horse sides. And you know
The
horse sides. It's
Cordovans.
like similar. It's similar to Cordovan.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. And the second she found out it was horse, done, out.
Right.
She walked away was not interested anymore, almost like offended. And it was just like, I just like that stuck with me for a while
Mm-hmm.
until I was talking to one of my friends, and he does leather in New York, and he was just like, do you know how useful the leather industry is for the world? And I was just like, explain. He's like, okay, how many cows die every year? How many horses die every year? Animals die every year, like people. And everything's processed. The beef industry, everything. And those skins have to go somewhere. And when the skin is separated from the animal, the carcass, it can't break down. It just stays that way forever. Like, there's people who have leather bags from like World War One and World War II that still function. Like leather lasts a very long time. And if you buried, a million skins in the ground without the carcass to break down the leather, it would stay there for like 100+ years. Just there. So it's like a problem with recycling. It's like a big waste problem. And if you have synthetic materials and synthetic leathers, all those other things, those are massive petroleum. They're not good for the environment. They're actually really bad. So to me, leather is using every part of the animal and actually making something that helps the environment, because you don't need to make synthetic goods. For example, you have a nice pair of leather shoes, they're going to last you 10 years. How many sneakers are you going to go through in 10 years?
Exactly.
How many sneakers are you going to keep out of the landfill for 10 years? A nice leather jacket or a nice leather bag. Like if you had a backpack made out of leather, when you start high school, it would last you all of high school. And it'd last your kids and your next kids. So to me, leather is something that's a high quality item, that's a luxury item, but also is renewal,
It's an
you're helping,
upcycled
yeah,
material.
you're upcycling a thing that has to go somewhere. So
Exactly.
it's like an elegant solution to a problem to
Absolutely.
me.
Beautiful, beautiful said. I'm trying to make a lot of videos explaining this concept. I'll keep doing it, but I love hearing it from people in the industry. Thank you for that. So, what's your favorite leather type or favorite leather article or tannery you like working with in your experience so far?
That is a really hard question.
Yeah, because there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Once you love leather, you
Favorite,
love a lot of leathers.
yeah. So probably my most favorite thing I'm using right now is this Cordovan wallet. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep, I can see it.
So this is a wallet that we make. It's brand new, has no stitches, no glue. It's all held together by tension
Mm-hmm.
and pressure. It's a really nice minimalist wallet.
That's beautiful.
It has a card in the back, holds all your other cards here. But anyway, this is Cordovan, and I mean that's pretty much as good as it gets in my opinion. But I really like working with Cordovan. I like working with Horween. I like working with Shell Cordovan out of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
They're really cool. I like Wicket and Craig. I like Milton Sokol. I like. Sometimes we'll get stuff from Tandy even.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it doesn't really. I'm not super picky. I think that almost everybody that has leather these days, whether it's like all the Rocky Mountain leather, all the online guys,
Right.
they all have something that's just like premium.
Exactly.
So I think once you know what to look for, you can get it pretty much from anywhere.
Or what you're gonna make with it, depending what's your end use for it. There's a lot of good tanneries making great articles just all around the world. That's one of my hobbies. Like I go around the world finding these little pockets. They specialized in something very specific, specific height, specific article, and just I keep collecting them. It's costly. It's like a sickness, but
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I do the same thing, but I do it with sand.
Sand?
Anywhere I go in the world, I always collect a jar of sand,
That's
and I
really
like take it home.
That's,
And I have like you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see that.
yeah.
I got a row of jars of sand from all over the world and all the different colors.
That's really cool. Never seen that before.
But anyway,
that's awesome.
it is cheaper than leather.
Oh yeah, definitely. Probably it's cheaper than leather. Okay. How can somebody from our audience, just regular person who wants to enjoy leather but they think they don't know much about it, what do you recommend to them? How they understand the quality of leather when they're buying it without doing what I do to the products, destroying them, opening them, and cutting them?
I think the YouTube University is a great wealth of knowledge. If you have an internet connection, you could pretty much learn anything you need to know from YouTube. I think just immersing yourself into it, like you said, getting your hands dirty with leather, go to your local Tandy and just look at the price tags. If you look at the price tags and you feel it with your fingers and you're like,
Exactly.
that's cheap leather. You go to the expensive leather, you feel it with your fingers, oh, that's what expensive leather feels like. Why is it this way? Eventually you'll get to the point to where you don't need any price tags. You can just touch it and you know immediately if it's high quality or not.
Perfect.
So
well said. It's a feeling. It's a sensory experience. You just need to listen to it without thinking, oh, I don't know leather. You don't need to freak out. Your fingers know it.
And sometimes it's crazy. Every leather has its own application. Like I have seen very inexpensive leather become something absolutely beautiful that I never would have thought. Like when I go to Mexico, I'll see leather that's like, I'd be like, I wouldn't even have taken the time to cut that out, and they'll make something and I was like, wow, that actually is amazing,
Exactly.
So like, don't underestimate inexpensive leather because everything is made for a purpose. But it's like, once you start to, handle different pieces, you can tell immediately if it's good or not.
Right. Sometimes leather look completely different when you make it into something. Mm-hmm. So it's a great experience. And I think you get a little better and better at it as you experiment with different kinds of leather, different designs. Great point. What do you recommend to a leather user, not a hobbyist or crafter, just a person who wants to buy good leather stuff? Where do they check for getting the best value for their money, the best leather experience that they will enjoy in years to come? Like, how should they go about approaching the leather shopping?
That's a tough one because for me, I like leather that fits what I like to make. So like if I'm making something per se, like if I'm making a wallet, I'm going to work with leathers that are going to fit wallet applications. I'm not going to go with like thick bridle leather or belt leather. I'm going to stick with leather for wallets. And then you could, practice and tinker and make different, patterns. And because if you're going to invest in a whole hide and you don't have a lot to start with, it's like choose what you like to make. That way you can keep practicing and practicing, practicing, versus making one leather that's so specific that you can only make belts out of it,
Right.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense completely from a craftsman and hobbyist standpoint. How about the end user? I want to buy a good leather wallet. I want to buy a good leather bag. I'm not a leather worker.
Okay.
What do you recommend me to do? Like, how do I do my leather shopping?
You go to lifetimeleather.com and and you buy from us.
Right.
And everything you're going to get is going to be good. Absolutely. No, but I would say choose a company that you like, obviously, the way it looks. Like, if you don't like the way it looks, you're not going to like it. So, style, usability, reviews, how long they've been in business, and how their customer support. So, it's like when you're buying a leather product, you're not just buying a product, you're buying an investment piece. So, it's like if you're going to spend $200 on a bag, it's like pick a bag that's going to, you're going to love for a long time, but, can it be repaired if it breaks? What's their customer service like if it gets lost in the mail? Am I going to get screwed over, or are they going to help me out? What is it like overall quality on the inside? What's it like? All those questions, check the descriptions, the size, the more details you can get, the better. So, I mean, if you do that, I think you'll be good. But for me, like when I buy from companies, I get latched on to brands, and I kind of become like loyal to that brand. So it's like if I really like a brand, it's like I'll buy it and I'll just keep buying that one brand. Like these t-shirts, I like these t-shirts. I have probably like 200 of them. I don't even shop anything else. I just buy this one t-shirt. I just go online and I buy like 30, and that's it.
I love it. Simplicity is the key.
But it took me a while to find the t-shirt that I liked, and once I find it, it's like boom.
Yep.
So that's what we try to be like for our customers. We try to make something that's like, we want to supply everything, not just one thing.
The last thing here is, where do people find you, your products, Lifetime Leather? How do they consider your products next time they're shopping for leather goods?
So we're online, lifetimeleather.com. We have our Etsy, Lifetime Leather Co. We're on TikTok, Ty the Leather Guy, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. You can find us on all those places. And we try to show on our TikToks and our Instagram stories, like the behind the scenes, like everything on Instagram is like kind of curated. Mm-hmm. So it's just like pictures and videos. We try to show the real life version, like people making the products, like actually the behind the scenes, Mm-hmm. But so I'd recommend TikTok and Instagram for those sources, and then the website and the Etsy for purchasing.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put the tags and handles on the screen when we're editing this piece. And this is pretty much it. I asked all the questions here. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
The crew just all walked in from lunch.
Let's take a look at it. I want to see it. Definitely.
So the way our office works is we're on the mezzanine right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the shop floor. This is Emily. She does all the online.
Hello.
There's Dallin.
Hi there.
And then that's the crew. You can see over here the rest of the shop. Hopefully it's focusing. And that's where we do all the cutting and embossing and everything. There's the desk.
That's
So it's pretty cool. This is the office up here.
that's awesome.
But
That's
yeah,
a very
so
cool place. Like I like the high ceiling, industrial warehouse feel. Ty, thank you so much for being the first guest here. It means a lot to me. So I really appreciate it. I'm honored to meet you finally. I've been following your work, as I said, for a long time. You're doing a great service to the leatherverse, I call this, and because of what you do, more people has better options, one more option to choose from to enjoy real leather. So I truly, truly appreciate that and spending the time with us to inform people about leather and what you do for leather. So if there's nothing else you want to add, we want to thank you and wish you best of luck.
yeah, for sure. It's been great. And then too, if anybody out there in the Leatherverse, if you have questions or want to know anything, my Instagram, Lifetime Leather Co. You can DM me, message me. We're open for message, or TikTok. Message me on TikTok.
Ty the leather
Either
guy.
or.
Yeah.
Yep, Ty the Leather Guy. Easy to remember. And that's how we learned. And I feel like if the hand that stays closed can't receive. So the more we give, the more that comes back.
Perfectly
So we
said.
can love to help answer any questions you guys have.
Perfectly said. Awesome. We will make sure to add all the handles and everything here. So you guys heard anything you might want to know, reach out to him directly. He's a great resource here for any fellow craftsmen or leather users. Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. We truly appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.